right. Well, welcome everyone. Friday afternoon, staying busy. Not sure if we have anyone on the stream this late on a Friday, or early, depending on where you are. But I thought I would kick off a stream this Friday afternoon, just a short one to work on some stuff I really wanted to do today, and kind of take it from there. And we'll see what we get done. Tomorrow we're going to work on some other fun stuff, so I want to take opportunity to also get to do some things that I need to get done for the library here today. So hopefully that is working and you can hear me and we're good to go. If you're on the chat, definitely shout out so I know you're there. So that's almost more fun. But what we'll do today is continue work on MLOpsContext, which is awesome. And while waiting for folks to join, I'm going to start creating a list here of things we want to address today. And my favorite tool for that is Notepad. So we're going to look at some Notepad stuff here. Notepad programming. If that only was a sport, I would be a master of that for sure. But to do today, Friday, what are we going to do? Well, quite a few things I think. The first thing we're going to look at is adding our integration tests into our CI pipeline. We'll have to do that for sure. Second of all, I would like to take a look at the issues we have open and see which one we would like to address next here, since there's quite a few ones that we could look at. I think an obvious one to look at probably is the MLOpsContext into catalogs here. To start looking at that one to make sure it makes more structure and make more sense as well. That's probably a good one. What we can also do is the binary classification example here and adding that to our repo so people can find it and use it and do whatever they want to. And we may also want to look at the run trading time as well. We'll see. Let's add that as well to the list of things we want to do today, and if you have anything you want to look at instead, shout out. But I think refactor MLOpsContext is definitely on my list of things to do. Adding training time to run is something we can do as well, and potentially adding a binary classification example. That is always a good start. Alright, perfect. Well, we'll kick this off and see how it goes. I want to go ahead and add the integration test to our CI pipeline first of all. So we have that GitHub actions that we use here in GitHub, and to add that we'll have to go into our workflow file and make sure that's run. And the thing I want to do here is I want to run the tests that make sense for us. And right now we only have SQLite integration tests here. Let's see. Close this one, don't save. So let's have a quick look at that. We currently have a bunch of tests here. We have our unit test and we have our integration test. And currently we only have integration tests that hit SQLite, which doesn't need anything backing it, so we should be pretty good there. So what we can do here is make sure that we run those in GitHub as well. And let me make sure I see the chat. Okay, good. So I think they should run by themselves, honestly, because we are running in an Ubuntu machine. These tests are created, so they should be able to run on a Linux or on a Windows machine, so it should be good. Hey Jerry Jr., how are you doing? Good to have you on the stream this Friday. How are things where you are? Glad you're joining. I was just recapping things we're going to try to look at today. Probably will be a fairly short stream, but we'll do some integration tests into our CI pipeline and then dig into the code here and do some fun stuff. Where in the world are you located, Jerry? Poland, okay, fellow European, awesome. Well, welcome, glad to have you. Alright. So what we'll do here is make sure our tests run in our pipeline. And we currently have unit tests running, so that's completely fine. We have a filter here for not integration. But given our integration tests are quick and they should be able to run in our CI pipeline, I would want to change this to just say unit tests here. And I'm going to just copy paste this one and have a second line here for integration test. Just in case one fails, we can separate it out and see which one is failing. And I wonder if it's 1 or 2. I think it should be 2. So let's see here. We'll do a quick one here. Let's open a PR for this. Alright, cool. This is just some housekeeping we want to do here before we dig into other things here. So if you open this PR, we should have our CI build kicking off here and running. And if we were correct with the syntax, it should pass, and if it's not correct, then it should fail. We can open it up, just like any other GitHub action here, and have a look at how it's doing. Jury, are you familiar with ML.NET and MLOps as a concept? Or is it the first time joining into those discussions? Dependencies installations here. Okay, cool. That's nice. We got 2 separate ones here. Great. Hopefully this is going to run and succeed. Alright, so we are building and running unit tests here. They should pass. I'm more concerned about this one. Okay, awesome. I'm glad you have that. So this library we're trying to build here is like specific. Okay, so 1 second here. We failed because a category didn't match, or what? Alright, so let's change our file here. I was probably had the wrong syntax here. I think it needs to be like this. Let's try this again. So what we try to build here, one of the things that is missing in ML.NET, or like in the just community in general, is the fact that we don't have a good support for DevOps for machine learning. There's no good way to get our models directly from a training phase to a production deployment, and there's no good way to track them neither, or put them in source control or anything like that. And there's good support in the Python community for these things, but not in the .NET community. So we're trying to build a tool here today that is going to support that, and we have quite a few contributors. So if anyone is interested in contributing to the repo, there's plenty of good to start issues. I'll put it in the chat here as well for anyone who wants to have a look at it later. Okay. Let's see if we're more lucky this time or not. So, okay, perfect. So I think we're fine. Yep, good. We have 2 integration tests, and both of them will run. So it looks good. So I'm happy with this. I'm going to ask for a review and get this one merged here at some point later. Let me add some comments to this one. Sure, definitely, happy to. Let me add a description here, Yuri, and I'll go right into it. Description. Our pipeline. I will show you in just 1 second here. Don't do that. So integration tests are kind of similar to unit tests, right? And I think ours are not very specific or anything. but if you're familiar with unit tests, right, they mock away any of your dependencies. So unit tests are, this is not a good example. Let me show you one that is a better example. Let's take maybe this one. No. I want to find a good example of a unit test. Here we go. So unit test is like very short, very small. It mocks away everything we need here. So in our case, we mock away our dependencies. We have a dependency for something called a metadata store. It's not so important, but we take one action, and any dependency that this MLOps builder has is mocked away. So we don't need to worry about that. So we only in this case test a specific method, and we don't test any dependencies it calls. For an integration test, we need to test our dependencies as well. So we can't just rely on things being mocked away. So in this case here, what we're doing is doing an integration test. And the reason why it's called integration test is because we are integrated in more than one unit. So we're testing a class called MLOpsBuilder here. Okay? And we're running something called the create experiment sync. And the reason why it's an integration test is because in this case, this test is going to work with a file share, or it's going to work with a physical file share, whether that is Windows or Linux or something else. And it's also going to interact with a SQLite instance. So if it was a unit test, we would have gone into this method here, come on, and mocked this away. So we would never have actually called this metadata store in real time. It would have been a mock instead, which would have been useful. But for now, instead, what we do is actually calling this specific one right here, create experiment, and it's going to execute everything here. It's going to open up a local DB context for SQLite, and it's going to create an experiment, and it's going to try to save that experiment to the SQLite database. So integration test, it's going to interact with dependencies, in this case a SQLite database. Unit test is not going to interact with anything. It's going to be completely isolated, one unit of code. I hope that is helpful. If not, definitely call me out on it. In general, you want as few unit tests as possible, and you want, integration tests as possible, and you want more unit tests, because unit tests are faster to run and they are more reliable. Since you depend on integrations and integration tests, it's a chance that you break something or something's not working properly. So, but usually integration test gives you more value because you test more things and you test the whole flow that the user would take. Okay, this one is just bumping up the machine learning dependency here. We're using something called Dependabot to automatically fix our dependencies. So in this case, this GitHub bot found the fact that we have Microsoft.ml has increased in version from 1.4 to 1.5. So we'll go ahead and merge this, because this is a simple, easy change. Okay. Looks good. Yeah, exactly. So in both in integration test and in unit test, you'll use NUnit or XUnit or something like that. You have the same framework in both. So if you look at this integration test, the only difference is I labeled integration. It's because I want to, when I run it in my continuous integration pipeline, I want to filter them out or in. But otherwise it's the same. You see I'm using NUnit here for test class. I'm using a test method from NUnit to define this test method, and I'm doing the same thing with like arrange my setup stuff, act, and assert. But the difference here is that you don't see mock or auto mocker or a fixture, depending on what kind of mocking framework you use. Everything is real, so it's real instances. It's a real database. Everything is real. I'm testing whatever dependencies this one has. I'm testing that. And of course, there's different levels of integration tests. Sometimes you want to test everything, and sometimes you don't. So that really depends a lot. But in our case, we want to test the whole thing. Cool. All right, we are going back into the code here. So let's look at the next issue we have open here. I'm wondering which one I want to pick here. We have multiple ones. The one that is closest to my heart right now is this one here, but I may want to say that to choose it next week, because I think that would be a good discussion thing here. What we can do is add a binary classification example. Would that make sense? Or adding a runtime for a model. That's also a good one. Or we can have some tests, honestly. Add support provider integration test, CI build, that's also a good one. But do we want that on right now? I don't think I have time to finish this stream, so that's going to be a tough one to get started with. So we may not want to look at that one, even though it's a fun one. The runtime would be good. I would be adding a property to the run object, both in SQLite and in Azure. And based on that, test that's set and it is working as expected. But that would also be kind of fun. Another thing you can do is look at the unit test coverage we have here as well to see if there's any methods we need to add tests for. But I think. So we could split this up. Alright. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this task here of splitting this up into multiple sections instead. Because I think that's going to be useful and it's going to be valuable in many ways. So one of the things we're trying to do here is that in ML.NET you have multiple catalogs of various methods and chains and things you want to do. So you have a data catalog, you have an evaluation catalog, you have a trainer catalog, and you have all kinds of catalogs here. And we need to do something about MLOpsContext so it matches that. For example, you want to have experiment and run and data, evaluation, and so forth. So let's go ahead and start creating these catalogs and separating our MLOpsContext into smaller compartments that are easier to use and more discoverable. I think that makes sense. So I'm not sure how we spell catalog first of all. So let's go ahead and look that up, because I think it depends on English or American English. Yeah, not as stupid at all actually, Jerry. It's completely a good question. So nameof, that's exactly what nameof means. So nameof here is going to return model repository here. Nameof is going to return metadata store. It's very useful if you don't want to hard code it. So if I could have written like this, I could have taken this away and I could have done like this instead. That's exactly the same thing, because now I'm saying, okay, the name is metadata store, but nameof is much cleaner, because if I change the variable name, my exception message will change as well, which is useful. And it's also useful if you want to do like name of a class or something, if you log things and you want to know where you are, and instead of hard coding things, you can just do nameof, and it's going to dynamically figure out what the name is of something, of a variable or a class or something else. Hope that makes sense. It's a useful method, I like it. But that's a good question. Alright. So I'm going to add a folder for catalogs, and I need to spell it properly. So catalog, is that how you spell it in English or in American English? Not at all. You're welcome. Okay, catalog. Okay, let's do the US one. Easier to spell. Alright, so we're gonna have some catalogs here, and I'll add a folder for that. Catalog. Okay, cool. It's a good name. And in here we're going to start adding catalogs for things we want to do. And I'm going to start by adding something called an experiment catalog, which is going to hold things we want to do for our experiments. And this one can be a public sealed class, and sealed because we don't want anything to inherit from this class here. We just want it to be used for our specific example. And we'll give this an XML summary comment here. And we're going to say let's call it exposes actions or methods. Let's see. Operations, that's a good one. Operations. So we got a couple of those that we want to move into this one. So the idea here is moving things from the MLOps context into our catalogs here. And we want to move everything that's experiment related. And we see we have one right here. It's called create experiment async. So that's the first one we want to move here. So we'll just go ahead and do that real quick. And the thing we'll discover here is that we're missing our dependency here. So we're going to go ahead and add that. And we'll do that by adding a constructor, experiment catalog, and we'll pass in an metadata store, which is going to hold our references to the information about the model here. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and make sure we... Okay, that is fine. And just do like this. So now we have that properly set up, and I don't think we need anything else here for now. But what we do need to do here is, instead of having that method, we do need to expose the appropriate things here. So now we need to have a property here instead, and we'll do that as property experiment catalog, like that. That's probably a good idea. Here. Tab for this one. Is that going to create something nice for me? Oh yeah, that's for creating a... yeah, that's a good one. It's a shortcut for creating a constructor. That's a good one actually. I didn't know about that one. Thank you for telling me. Alright. Experiment. So now we have an experiment catalog here, but we need to set this properly. So we need to make sure this is obvious. Operations related to an experiment. And we need to set this one in our constructor here. So experiment, new experiment catalog, and we'll pass in the, in this case, the metadata store here, which is going to talk to our SQL database and some other fun stuff. So that was a general that one. And ooh, okay, so I wonder if this is going to be good for us. You are definitely useful. Thank you for joining in. Alright, so we have a little bit of an issue here in the way we're going to structure this, because if we have any shared methods like this, for example, it's not going to be as easy. So I was thinking of creating an experiment catalog and a run catalog, but that would mean it's a separate ones, and that's not going to be useful at all. So I think what we want to do here is we want to probably create, we want to rename this to something else instead of an experiment catalog. This needs to hold both runs and other stuff that is related to runs. So naming is really hard, so finding a good name for this is going to be difficult. and I have to try to find something useful here. So we're gonna have both runs and both experiments here. For example, this one is gonna go in here, this one's gonna go in here. I'll add those to it and we'll see if we find a good name for this. Okay. And I think what I'll do here is copy some of these over, because we're going to remove this interface eventually. It's actually not useful in this case. But I have to think of a good name here. Let me, I'll copy this over to my other screen here so I can quickly do some copy paste here. It's kind of boring anyways. To see. This is going to be fun. Create, run, and sync. Okay. This one. Alright, awesome. So we got some stuff there. So now we have to figure out a better name for this one, because I think it's not going to be called experiment catalog anymore. It needs to be called something else. It has to do with the setup of everything. It could be called experiment and run catalog, but I feel like that's a stupid name, and that's not going to be useful for anyone to find this. We'll have a data catalog, we'll have an evaluation catalog, and we're going to have a trainer catalog. I think we can call it an ops catalog. I wonder if that makes sense. Operations catalog, just to track things like setup and stuff. That is a tough name. Let's ops catalog, does that make sense? Let me think of this bit. That's not going to make any sense. Who's going to find it because it's called ops catalog? No one's going to find it. What else do we have available for us? I wonder if we can call it a life cycle catalog. That's probably better, because that's kind of what we're tracking here. We're tracking the experiment and other things. Okay, I'm gonna call it life cycle catalog for now, until I find a better name for this. Okay. At least that's better than a lot of other names. Okay, perfect. So we got that. Now we want to do another catalog here, and I think the next one for us to look at is going to be related to the training. So I'm going to call it evaluation catalog, because that's going to be what it's going to do. So we'll do a public sealed class here, and we're going to start playing around with some of this stuff here. In our case, what we do is the log metrics async here, and we'll call this to the life cycle of a model. Alright, passing that, and we'll use your trick jury. There we go. And we will go ahead and pass in this. Let's see, the best part of streaming is that I always learn something new, a shortcut or something else that is useful. And today I learned a shortcut, which is great. Operations related to tracking. Evaluation metrics of a model. Okay. Perfect. And again, I want to copy over some of the comments because I don't want to rewrite them again. So So let's see what they are. We're going to log metric async. That will be this specific one right here. And we'll go ahead and do another one here. That should be this one. Okay. Perfect. Clean it up a little bit. Get some link in here. Link syntax. Alright, so we have that. Now we have to put that into our MLOpsContext as well to make sure that's tracked. So that will be a new property here, evaluation catalog. We'll do that as evaluation. And operations related to tracking evaluation metrics of a model. Okay. And the same thing here, we'll make sure we instantiate that. And that's as simple as that. Oh, how's it going, Adam? Good to have you. I assume it's Adam from Excella. Thank you for the follow. Always makes me happy getting the office scene here. I'm watching Space Force now on Netflix, and it's awesome. It's a good show. It makes me really happy. Not sure why, but makes things a bit more tangible here. Alright. Evaluation catalog is going. We are good there. So that's a good thing. So now we should go good to go for the next one here. So I'm going to create a model catalog because we want to store things as model here, and we have them as separate tracking as well here. So let's go ahead and create a model catalog here. And if you're on the chat, Adam, you can drop a message. Good to hear from you. So we'll do a model catalog here. And that will also be a public seal class here. And we'll make sure we add some operations here from the context. Hey Adam, awesome to have you. Glad you're now a Twitch user, if you weren't before at least. I gotta convince you to become one. It's always a good thing. Alright. That's good. So again, we're missing this dependency here, so good. Well, I'm glad to have you. You should consider doing some yourself if you want to. You have tons of things to share. Get that field going. So we're missing a constructor here, we're missing comments. We'll put that right there. And we'll say operations related to model. Okay. Ooh, actually we need a model repository here. Model repository. Nice. Okay. Make sure we track that. And remove that. So Adam, we are building a tool here for DevOps in machine learning, kind of. That's kind of what we're doing right now, if you're wondering what we're trying to do here. There's currently no good tool available, so we are building one from scratch here. And we have a couple of people contributing to the repo from all around the world. India and Australia, India, New Zealand, Holland and the US. So we're slowly working together to create something we can use for tracking our machine learnings, which is really fun here. Okay, let's add a prop here. Call this model catalog. Model operations related to model. Okay, good. And we'll make sure we set this one as well. Model catalog. Perfect. Alright, now we're getting closer to things here. So one thing we still need to do here is cool. Sounds good. Oh yeah, virtual happy hour at 5, that's true. Half an hour ago, half an hour later. That's a good one. Able to join today. Alright, so I feel like I'm missing something here. I'm missing a method that I would expect and I'm not seeing it, and I'm wondering if I moved it already, and I haven't moved it. Oh, it's because it's best run. Okay, that makes sense. I know where it is now. But we do need to move that one. So we need to move this one over to our lifecycle catalog here, because that's where it belongs. So we'll do that real quick. And we'll add our comment that we already have here for is best run. I'm looking it up on the side here. Just have 2 screens. We want to copy paste this one in here. Alright, and we'll add some dependencies, and that should be good here. Okay, good. So I think we're getting close to the end here for the specific one. We have one catalog left to add here, and I think it's a training catalog for hyperparameters and those kind of things. So we'll need to add one as well here for that, and we'll add that as a training catalog. I think that's a good name. Why not? I can name whatever I want to. Public sealed training catalog. We'll do that. We'll copy paste those over to make sure this is cleaned up. This is so much better already. Like it. Find things. Order, structure. Such a type A person. I like structure. Alright. Operations related to training. Is that a good thing to say here? Okay. And lack of better names. Something is not okay. That's why. My bad. Copy pasted the method into the constructor. It's not going to work. But that's better. And in our case here, we'll add some namespaces, and we are missing some libraries. And in this case, we're missing this one right here. We have a nice library we're using here, Dynamity. And we need last final thing here, the metadata store. Perfect. So for anyone who's joining and wants to know more about machine learning, tomorrow we're going to do our more machine learning stream. So me and Ravi are going to go online in the morning tomorrow morning, and we're going to look at how to deploy these models to an Azure function, to a local web app, and some other fun stuff there. So if you're interested in more machine learning and some cool stuff like that, definitely take a join that stream tomorrow morning. It should be really fun. I'm looking forward to it. We do it every Tuesday, me and Ravi. And Ravi is a gentleman from India, and he wants to learn more about machine learning in .NET. So we are walking through everything you can really do there actually together. It's a great refresher for myself, and I think a lot of people find it useful as well to understand some of the concepts and walk through some of those things. So definitely check that out. Okay. Cool. So now we have our training catalog here. It's clean and nice, and we'll make sure we add that to this one. Training. Oop, I need to add a property for that first. So Adam, have you been joining every virtual happy hour all the time? That's dedication in that case. That's real dedication. Training. Wow, that is crazy. That Adam. I'm sorry I've dropped off on those bit. I've been busy. But that's amazing. Okay, that's more reasonable, I guess, instead of every day. 2 training of the model. But still, that's very impressive. Okay, training. Catalog, we'll pass in the metadata store here. Thank you for the follow. You have a very long name, Ikio. Glad to have you on the stream though. Tell me more about where you're from, what you do. Always like new people joining the stream. I don't know. Alright, talk to you later, Adam. Cool stuff. Alright, so we're gonna remove the context here. We don't need that, and we don't need this, so actually we can change this up a bit instead. We'll go ahead and add this to the context. One second. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna fix up this context, and we can just copy these over. I think that'd be easiest. Let me bring that into site for you guys, because this is going to be useful. Go ahead and remove all existing methods here, because they're no longer needed. And we'll add the ones that we care about here. In our case, we only care about properties. Like that. And they don't need to be public anymore, because this is an interface. It's public by default. Nice. Cool stuff. Alright, so let's add some dependencies here, because we're missing the catalog namespace. There we go. And we're good. We can close this one. But that also means that we don't need to go ahead and inherit this. We can inherit all these things here instead, make it a little bit cleaner. Okay. So inherit doc is a really nice feature that makes you inherit comments from your interface. So you don't need to duplicate your comments if you have it on interface, and it can be used for IntelliSense, for example. Alright, that is a lot better, honestly. I like that a lot. So now I want to make sure that things are building, because the main of the building, especially our unit test, should be failing now, because we need to probably re-navigate things here to a better place here. So let's make sure the build works, and then we'll check our unit test to see how that goes. Yep, we are missing. Well, that's actually should be working. That's not the issue. This is the issue. Okay. So in this case, it will be on the lifecycle manager instead here. Lifecycle catalog. And that's how we're going to access these things instead. What if we feed AI mathematical equations and ask it to predict outcome? Yeah, I mean, there's things being done for sure along those lines. Right now, you can really only train a machine learning model things that you already know, though. There's definitely ways around that, but it's still pretty limited, I think. Like, we have to get to general AI, and there's still some ways away until we're there to general AI. But not to say we're not gonna get there. It's just gonna take a while. Right now, we're very like specific AI that is not always very helpful for us. Okay. Oh, I forgot to inherit from this one. Still do that. Alright. So this should be all the cleanup we need to do, and if it works, I will run all unit tests and integration tests to ensure it runs, and then we can open a PR. And it didn't completely pass, but we're not too far away, I think. It has to do with where these are. These are going to be under the training catalog. So we're doing this change not only to clean up the code, but also to make it more discoverable to find these things for a user. And that's what we're trying to mimic the way MLOpsContext does these things. So it will find it easily, and it won't be a hassle for anyone to find it. Alright, that succeeded. So let's run all our tests now, test suite here, and ensure that we have full testability here. Okay. Nope, that didn't work. That's interesting. Okay, let's wait for that one. Oh, we have some failing tests here. Okay. It's because the way we set up things I think here. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. You're returning that, which should be good. And what is failing in this one here? This one is failing, and is it a null ref somewhere, I think? Yep, there's a null ref somewhere. But why? Oh, it's because I see. So before we were checking that we had set these properly, and currently we're not doing that anymore, so this is no longer important necessarily. But what we're going to do here is we want to, instead of doing that, we want to, that's fine, we do want to test each of these various catalogs instead, I think. But we only need to check if they're not null. We don't need to check anything else here, honestly, because that's wired up by itself, I think. So I think what we need to do is do this. We need to check that. I honestly don't think we need to do that. Okay. We will do, call this act. We'll do assert here. We'll say that training should not be null. Alright, so we're doing that just to make sure that we have properly wired these things up in the constructor here. Okay, we got two more here. Training, we already got that one. We'll do the model. And finally, we want to do one more, which is going to be a lifecycle part of this one here. Should not be no. Alright, cool. And we'll rename this to unit under test. And that should fix that, I think. And let's fix the other ones here. So we have something failing here. Let's look at why that is the case. Okay. So do we need to worry about this or not? We are building. Okay. We want to make sure it's the right type here. That is, it's a good thing. We probably want to copy this back, honestly, because that's going to check some of this stuff here to make sure things work as expected. So, what do we want to do here? We're trying to check that the type of the one we set here makes sense. But that would be in another place. Hey Daniel, how's it going? Good to have you on the stream. I'm doing a quick one today, just to get some things done here. What I'm doing today is refactoring the MLOpsContext here, so we have it more like an ML.NET context. So I'm breaking it down into like a evaluation catalog, mod catalog, training catalog, and under each of these instead we have the specific methods here for logging metrics async and those kind of things. No worries. Well, glad to have you. Trying to make things a bit smoother here. So I made some changes already. I just need to make sure we run some tests here to do this. And I'm trying to make them not break. How are things over there for you? Still staying safe in Europe? Okay. That one is good. So, okay, let's get this stuff here. So in our case here, what we want to get here is different than anything else here. Okay, I see. In our case, for example, you want to get the evaluation catalog here. Like that. And we want to get metadata store. Cool. Awesome. That's nice. Try to get out for a run later today. It's really warm here. Okay. So in this case, we're going to do this. I'm trying to understand here what we want to do in this test here. And okay, so I need to do that for quite a few here. Yeah, it's going quickly now, for sure. I think I'm gonna clean it up a little bit more. This is too much stuff happening in this test here. Yeah, this is going really well so far. I'm really happy that things are progressing with the library. You all doing an amazing job here. It's cool to see. Okay. Configures evaluation catalog. Okay. Now we know what we're gonna do here. Okay, that should be storage account metadata store. We don't need to worry about this one, so that's fine. This one we can remove. Okay, perfect. So what we want to check in this test is that we have set our catalog properly, and in the catalog it's type Azure, otherwise it's wrongly configured. Okay, and in this case here we want to do the same thing but for other 3 catalogs real quick here to make sure it makes sense. And so for example, we want this to be the training catalog, and then we want this to be the lifestyle catalog. Ah, come on. Jesus. Lifecycle catalog. I know it's pretty boring to watch. It's boring to write, but it's useful. Training, evaluation, model, I think is next one. Okay, so doing this real quick here. Repository field. This should be a model catalog. We don't need to worry about that one. This should be unit under test. Okay, perfect. The other one here is going to be unit under test. And this is not going to be a repository, so we don't really care about that one. But this one, on the other hand, is going to be the lifecycle one. And this one here is going to be the training one. So we'll remove this one. Should be a training catalog that we expect here. This should be training. This should be training. Okay. This should be none. This should be lifecycle. So we expect lifecycle here. We expect lifecycle there. And okay. And alright, so final one here is model. Alright, let's run these tests and see if they work. Hopefully they do. That would be nice. Okay, good. So now we can copy this over to the SQLite invitation real quick and get that sorted. That would be nice. Ooh. Yeah, that's the way I program, right? You fix something when you fix it. That's kind of what you do. That's the best part of unit test, is that you can just do it real quick here. Alright, so I think the only difference here is that we have a special catalog here for SQLite path here. And okay, and that should be unit under test. Otherwise it's very similar. So we'll just copy this one in each test and it should be fine. but we don't need those. Okay, that's fine. Let me fix that in the next one here. Okay. Great. So now we need to just change this to SQLite metadata store and repository. And then we can run these tests and hopefully they will pass. That's not what I wanted. Local file repository. Alright. Great. Let's see if we can run these tests and if they pass. So then we added the integration test into the CI pipeline, which is good. So they run all the time now, which is good. Nice. Alright, they pass. So any more failing ones here? I think we have a couple more here. Otherwise we're good. We have 7 failing ones here. 5. What is failing here? Okay, it's goes to the mock, I think. Okay. Build. And we are trying to... Okay, similarly we're trying to assert the types here. Okay. So we're expecting an exception here, but we're not getting it. So why is that? Okay, because we're not throwing that anymore, because we have removed that. Does it make sense to re-add something here or not? Probably. Let's see what we changed. Okay, so before we threw that, so we can definitely check that again here, honestly. It doesn't hurt. So MLOps builder, MLOpsContext, because we definitely don't want it to be null, and that's a good test. MLOpsContext. And we honestly just need to check if they're null or not. We don't need to store these anywhere, so if we'll just do this simple check here and be on our way here. Okay, good. Okay, please reload. Did I break something here by mistake? Yep, I did. What did I change? Oh, okay, what did I break here? Best part with source control is you can see it. I changed something by mistake and that was not intentional. Okay, I managed to do that, so stupid. Okay, there we go. We should be good now. Okay, so we should fix some of those tests, so let's make sure we run all of them again here. I think there's still a couple failing, but it shouldn't be too many now. It should be mostly passing. And I already think of another issue I think I want to add here as well. Okay, those are passing, please, okay, almost. I think we have 1 failing test left. Okay, that's good. Okay, what is failing here? Doing mocks here, and we're not going to find these in MLOpsContext anymore because they're going to be on separate things here. Do we need to change this? Do we need this method at all? Okay, we don't need this method. This is a test that is maybe too much. Alright, so they're all passing. Let's open a PR for this change here and get this reviewed. And in our case, let's go to the issues we have. And the one we're going to look at is this one. It's issue 104. So new branch, issue 104, factor MLOpsContext. Hopefully we'll get to a more stable API soon. I think we're pretty close now. Okay. 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 Good. Alright, broke out into catalogs. Let's push this up. Hopefully this will work. Pull request, open a new one. Okay, this is going to fix issue 104. Refactored MLOpsContext into separate catalogs. How's it going, AJ? Good to have you on the stream. What's the time in New Zealand? Okay. Let's see if this passes. Alright, early in the morning, great. So what we just did here is we refactored MLOpsContext. Let me edit this title a bit here. Into separate catalogs. So we broke it down here. Let's go back to it here. We added these evaluation catalog and lifecycle catalog here for the experiment and run. We added a model catalog for upload models and manage models. We added a training catalog for your new hyperparameter methods, so we can have like a training specific one, and so everything else just refactor around that. So that's pretty nice. I like the change. Hopefully you will like it too. Go ahead and review that if you like, but that will at least make it useful for us. And one thing I thought of when I did this is that we need to have an issue where we can. It would be nice to run our example projects and build them as part of our CI pipeline. So for example, right now I broke the whole API. So our example repo will not work with this version of the API. And it would be really nice if we knew that without having to build that locally. So we should probably add a new workflow file here for that. So add building our example repo as part of the CI build. And so if we make our example repo will break without. So what we want to do here is add a separate new workflow file, and we run as part of the Yep, there you go, Drew. Find this. The workflow file should build the example solution, and we probably should update the example solutions to pull directly from our GitHub feed. So that's something to think about, because right now we pull from the NuGet feed, but we never find these breaking API changes if we don't pull from whatever we build here as well. So this may be something we trigger later, we'll see. So think about this a bit. I'll add some needs help on this one, because I think we'll need some thoughts on this one for sure. And it's going to be pipeline related ones, we'll add that tag as well. Nice, okay, not bad. So we have some ideas here. We added integration test to our CI pipeline, and we added a refactor of the MLOpsContext. That's a good start. So we've done those two things today here. And I think with that, I do think I will stop the stream. I know it was only an hour and it was a quick one, but it's Friday afternoon, evening here, and I'm gonna go for a quick run and make some dinner before prepping for tomorrow's stream as well, where me and Ravi are going to dive into some of the machine learning stuff that we are learning here. And I think tomorrow what we're going to do is try to deploy our model to an Azure function or to ASP.NET Core web app, and look at prediction engine pools and some kinds of stuff like that. So definitely tune in tomorrow morning. It's at 9:30 a.m. US Eastern Time if you're interested. Otherwise, you can always watch the recording later. But thank you all for tuning in on a Friday like this. I appreciate it. We are slowly getting this library forward. It's fun. We're getting somewhere. I'm really excited. So thank you all for today, and I will catch you either tomorrow or on Tuesday. All right. Bye, everyone.